Once upon a time, in a small village, near the edge of a wide river, there lived a woman with 3 daughters. There had been a time, long ago, when their lives were full. A home with walls painted bright yellow, shelves lined with jars of rice and sesame oil, laughter drifting from every room. But life, as it sometimes does, turned hard. The woman's husband fell ill, then died. Droughts came. Crops failed. Debt grew like weeds, and one by one, the comforts vanished. Their beautiful house crumbled. The garden dried. The laughter faded. They now lived in a rundown hut with thin straw mats and empty clay pots. Most nights, the daughters slept with hunger twisting in their bellies. But even in her sorrow, the mother carried on, feeding her children what little she could find, weaving straw mats for coins, whispering songs from better times to lull them to sleep. And yet, her heart ached most from something deeper than hunger. She had once been kind, generous, a woman who gave. Now, she had nothing to give, not even hope. Far away, across golden hills and sapphire lakes, in a land untouched by hardship, lived a swan. But this was no ordinary swan. His feathers shone with the warmth of sunrise. Every step glimmered, every wing beat shimmered. This was the Golden Swan, the Suvaṇṇahaṃsa, who lived in a sacred lake, surrounded by lotus flowers and peace. But the Golden Swan was more than a beautiful bird. He was the Bodhisatta, the being who, life after life, cultivated wisdom and compassion, preparing for the time he would awaken fully as the Buddha. And in this life, he remembered something. He remembered the woman, not as she was now, worn and weary, but as she had once been, a kind host who had welcomed him when he was poor and tired, a soul who had once given freely, and so he decided to give back. One morning, just before the roosters cry, the Golden Swan took flight, over rivers, over forests, until he reached the broken home of the woman and her daughters. He landed quietly on the rooftop and called down. The mother, hearing the sound, stepped outside in wonder. There, before her, stood the most breathtaking creature she had ever seen. A swan of pure gold, eyes kind, feathers glowing. The daughters clung to her sides, unsure if they were dreaming. The swan spoke gently. Long ago, you gave when I had nothing. Now, let me give to you. And with that, the Golden Swan plucked a single feather from his wing, long, glowing, and impossibly fine. Take this, he said. Sell it. Use it to feed your family. When you are in need, I will return. The woman knelt. She wept. Not from fear, not from shock, but from relief and gratitude. Days passed. The feather was sold for more than enough. The family ate well, smiled again. Eva sang softly while cooking rice in a clay pot that hadn't held warmth in years. And when hunger returned, the Golden Swan did too. Always gentle, always giving, one feather at a time. Months passed. Their clothes were mended, the hut repaired. The girls grew stronger, happier. But something quiet was also growing in the mother's heart. Not gratitude, not contentment, but greed. She began to think, why does he only give one feather at a time? Why must we wait to ask? If I had all his feathers now, I'd never have to worry again. She said nothing aloud, but in her mind, she made a plan. One morning, as the mist curled above the ground, the Golden Swan arrived once more. He bowed his golden neck, but instead of smiling, the mother grabbed him, roughly. Suddenly, the daughters gasped. "Mother, what are you doing?" But she said nothing. She began plucking his feathers, one by one. But as each golden feather left his body, it changed. They turned white, plain, ordinary, worthless. Still, she pulled, her hands shaking. The swan cried out, not in anger, but in heartbreak. His glow faded. His body weakened. "Why?" he whispered. "I gave freely. Why take what was never meant to be taken?" The daughter screamed, "Stop! Mother, you're hurting him." But it was too late. The golden swan lay trembling on the floor, his beauty gone, his gift stolen. The feathers, once glowing with generosity, now scattered across the floor like broken promises. With all his remaining strength, the swan stood. He looked into the eyes of the woman he had once trusted. Where there is no respect for giving, there can be no gift. And then he flew away, wings trembling, body bruised. The daughters watched in silence, and the woman, she looked down at her hands, full of feathers that once held hope and now held nothing. He never returned. No more golden feathers, no more warmth, no more light. The pot went cold, the garden wilted again, and though they had shelter and a few things left, they had lost something far more precious: the gift of trust, the warmth of gratitude, the beauty of enough. The woman had chased riches, but had trampled generosity. She had taken and lost what could never be given again. This story, the Suvaṇṇahaṃsa Jātaka, is more than a tale from ancient India. It is a mirror held up to our own lives. We all receive gifts, a friend's time, a stranger's kindness, and sometimes we want more. We try to take without asking. We forget to be grateful. We hold tighter and crush what we once held dear. But the Golden Swan teaches this: give when you can, receive with grace. Never turn generosity into greed, because greed does not multiply blessings. It empties them, and in chasing too much, we may lose what truly matters. When someone gives, pause to appreciate, not demand more. Practice giving without expectation. A smile, a kind word, your time. Ask yourself, am I grateful for what I have, or focused on what I lack? The feathers of generosity are fragile. Protect them, honor them like the golden swan. Give from the heart, and never pluck what was offered freely.